Hi, Happy New Year, everyone. Hello, Happy New Year to you too, Eddie.
Hi, Perry. Happy New Year to you and your audience.
Yes, welcome to Living Your Best Life with Eddie Stone, founder and CEO of Touchstone Essentials. You had a good time, Eddie?
We had a great holiday season here at my house. I get to spend time with my personal family, my wife and kids, as well as her family and my family. And I think I ate my way through the last part of December with nice, probably not perfectly healthy meals most of the evenings, and then had a wonderful time with a little bit of travel for New Year's. So it's been great, but I'm ready to get back to work and get back to sort of some regular routine and habits.
Uh-huh. Ready to start a great new year, right?
I am ready to start a great new year. I like routine, and if I get off track, I think it's easy to lose focus on some of the health disciplines and things you work hard on, and skip going to the gym maybe, or you find yourself eating maybe dessert before you eat dinner or whatever it happens to be. I think every house I went to, somebody had freshly baked cookies or pies or something. So I need to get back to my regular routine, get back to the healthy stuff. So
Uh-huh. We can do it. I'm
we
sure.
could do it. I tell you, I have a deep belief that 2019 is going to be a great year. 2018 was a great year, but I like the way the numbers look, and
Uh-huh.
I think it's going to be something special.
Uh-huh. Okay. Eddie, and we start the new year. You have any great gift for audience, for people here?
I do. And this is something that's really come from Kent and a few other people that also believe in really trying to jumpstart their health habits and things like that at the first of the year. And so Kent had suggested that we try to put together a promotion to make it a little easier for people and also easier for them to share. And so for those in the audience that have become customers of ours, number one, thank you for that. We certainly appreciate your support, and so many repeat customers. We feel like folks are getting some real benefits. So we like to see that. The Pure Body regular product, which has been extremely popular with your audience and Kent's office audience, we're going to run a special on that actually will begin. Let me see what time it is here. So I'm at 7:43 p.m. on a Wednesday evening, the 2nd here in the States. And so I know it's your morning time, so you're already on the 3rd. And so when our show is over at 8 p.m. Eastern, the program kicks off. And so for anybody, and Perry, I'll get you, I know you had planned to put it in your show notes, but as long as they go to the website, your website, and after the .com / free pure body, right? So that's how they find the link. They'll be able to purchase 3 of the Pure Body regulars. And if they're in the US, the UK, or Europe, they'll also get free shipping, and they'll get an additional bottle for free. So a way for us to offer a gift and allow people to kind of jumpstart the things that they want to jumpstart here in the new year. And that will be, the promotion runs through midnight. I hope I got that right. Midnight Eastern time this coming Sunday evening. So we'll give people a few days to get it figured out, make sense for them, and be a good way to jumpstart their health.
Uh-huh. That's a great gift and great news too. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Uh-huh. Okay, Eddie, today, what are we going to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about the chemicals that are found inside of Teflon, a very specific one called C8. One thing I know is that during the holiday season, not only is there a lot of cooking, but oftentimes people are giving cookware and things of that kind, things that are coated or treated as gifts. And they can create a lot of convenience, but we need to be conscious about what we're preparing our food with and how we're preparing our food, because these chemicals can actually leach into the food supply and have a negative impact on us. But before I jump into the details, I've got 2 people that I promised on Facebook that I would answer their questions on the show. And so if I can, I'll do that just real quickly. And so I had someone, and this kind of plays into what we've been talking about, but it says, should I spray the Pure Body Extra Strength on my food before I eat to help remove some of the pesticides, right? So that's a good question. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I might suggest a little bit different strategy. that I think would be more helpful. Number one, whatever you're buying in terms of fruits and vegetables or anything, that you're preparing at your house that you're going to eat, always really wash and rinse it well. Some companies actually sell some organic sprays you can put on there. But frankly, if you just use a little bit of warm water and rinse and soak things pretty well, you'll get rid of a lot of those topical herbicides, pesticides that may linger. Oftentimes, grocery stores will try to do some washing of fruits and vegetables, but it's always a good idea when you get it home to just soak it and wash it. And that's one of the very safest things you can do. And I think actually probably just because there's so much more volume water, probably better than just spraying the Pure Body on those fruits and vegetables. So you do that, then eat your fruits and vegetables. Hopefully you're trying to buy organic when you can, and then use your Pure Body Extra Strength. And I think you're giving yourself a pretty darn good protection from those everyday general environmental pollutants and toxins and volatile organics that we come across on a day-to-day basis. So that would be my suggestion in that regard. Now, the second question I received was, do we have any parents that we've worked with or we heard from anybody that children are on the spectrum? And I believe what they're speaking about there is they are dealing with autism. And of course, autism, particularly in the last 10, 15, 20 years, as we begin to identify the behavioral challenges and physical challenges and other things that these kids deal with, is really a big topic. And I can only imagine if one of my kids, was really struggling with this, right? The sort of quiet desperation a parent can feel, just wanting to do something for their kids and to help them in every way possible. And I know there's some good websites out there, a lot of websites that are run not by corporations, but by parents that have pieced together various strategies to try to help their children. So, whether that's focusing on getting them as clean a diet as possible. I know some kids on the spectrum really respond to removing as much of the ultra-processed foods from their diet as they can, like sodas and sugars and fast foods and things of that kind. Going to a more natural, home-prepared type meal has made a difference for some kids. Other kids, it hasn't, right? So everybody's child, their body chemistry is different. And so we can learn some things from a targeted standpoint, but it's oftentimes really difficult to say specifically, do this, do that, and you're going to see great results. But we have had people tell us a couple of things that I believe in from just the consistency of hearing them. And number one is, I've got some folks that have been able to coax their kids into using our greens products. And greens, deep leafy greens, whether they're getting them through an organic powder like we have with our super green juice, or just from what's being prepared by the family, greens can help the body better manage and aid the body in general detoxification, right? So that's a great idea. But also, to the specific question we were asked about Pure Body, we do get positive feedback from parents. Now, that is not to say that I'm trying to state that the product cures, treats, or mitigates disease. I'm certainly not trying to do that. But just in general reference, we have received positive feedback from parents that are using the Pure Body regular as well as the extra strength. Sort of just depends with their children. I know that some use the Pure Body extra strength because sometimes children that are on the spectrum are really sensitive to the way things taste. And if it's got any kind of flavor or texture at all that they don't like, they just won't use something. And Pure Body regular, of course, we know has a little bit of texture to it, a little bit of flavor. And so that may be something that they would not want to use. But of course, the Pure Body Extra is completely flavorless. And so if someone is trying to work with their kid, I strongly suggest they do spend some time on the net. Naturally Recovering from Autism is a website by a woman named Karen Thomas that I think does a very nice job of giving some general ideas to folks about what they can do. And then at least the feedback we've gotten has been positive when people are using the greens as well as the Pure Body. So hopefully that helps, and 2019 will be a better year for their child than say 2018 was.
Maybe for the autism, I'm just wondering, like, can be cured or not?
Can you cure it?
Yeah.
Perry, I don't know that anybody has ever come out with a statement or a protocol that they say cures it. I think all I've ever seen are situations where through physical behavior modifications, through dietary modifications, They've made the child's life easier. They've improved communications and helping them reconnect with their community. But I don't know, at least from my standpoint, I've heard anybody talk about curing it from that standpoint. And so I like to be optimistic that perhaps at some point someone would have a breakthrough, because you just really, heart breaks knowing these kids are dealing with these issues and struggling to communicate. And so I think all we can do is sort of look out there, and each individual situation is different and unique, and try to support those parents as they try to figure out their journey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about this Teflon stuff. Very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So the Teflon, I understand why people love Teflon on their pots and pans, right? It just makes cleaning up so easy. And frankly, it's so easy on the stove to burn something. And boy, if you've got it in a Teflon pan, then it's not as likely to burn as easily, right? And so I sort of understand that convenience. And the chemicals that are used in Teflon are also used in sprays that you might put on, say, a pair of shoes, or if you bought some boots that were suede or leather, you might spray them with a coating that would resist water or protect them from stain, right? And so the chemicals used in Teflon have been around a long time. I think Dow, or a subsidiary of Dow, was actually working with Teflon in the 1940s here in the United States. And so it's been around a long time. The challenge is that Teflon, either as it's scraped, because people might use a metal spatula or spoons or forks, and they scrape the coating that winds up getting in the food, or because they leave it on the stove too long, and so the excess heat would aid it in leaching into the food. Fundamentally, some of the chemicals found in Teflon have leached into our food supply, so much so that a particular chemical called C8, and this is really the one that we want to pay attention to, according to the Centers for Disease Control, which is the large government agency here in the U.S. that tracks these types of things. The estimates are that 99% of humans in the developed part of the world have C8 in their system. And this is problematic because it's disruptive at a DNA level. And for a lot of people, these things have boiled over to really extreme frustrations from some scientists and people in the medical community that, believe that it's obvious that Dow, DuPont, as well as other companies, really realize that these chemicals weren't fully tested before being put essentially into the food supply, because they were put on pots and pans and spatulas and other implements that we use inside the kitchen. And so now we've got this situation where these chemicals are in our bodies and they're not going anywhere. They really never break down, or they certainly never break down in the lifetime of a human being. And so with no degradation, it's essentially something that we're going to continue to pass on for decades to our kids. Even though C8 as a compound found in Teflon, DuPont stopped using it in 2015, but the replacement compounds have really the very same structure. And so we don't yet know what the safety situation there is. And so, for me, I know it's inconvenient. And for those that have heard me, I really describe a food lifestyle that, frankly, it's not convenient, right? I'm talking about buying fruits and vegetables and the chopping and the prepping and the soaking and the cleaning. And I'm talking about cooking them in high quality metal pans that won't leach. If you have access to stainless steel, high grade stainless steels, there's a lot of good products out there. It's one of the best things you can do from a safety standpoint. So they're not using pots and pans or implements that are coated, and there's the chance that those coatings make it into your food, and so you're digesting them. And so it's an issue, and unfortunately, it's one of those ones that just does not go away easily. And so some signs to look for when you generally look at what can happen is, we know that C8 can lead to a greater risk for testicular cancer, for kidney, thyroid, prostate, bladder, ovarian cancer, a grave concern for women. And that's mostly because, one, it acts as an immune dysregulator. And, you know, we've used that term before, but basically certain chemicals from the environment can disrupt the regulatory process of our immune system. And this is one of the reasons why we want to be careful with the things we're breathing and smoking or eating or whatever it happens to be, because these chemicals are not, our bodies just weren't made to manage these man-made chemicals like cadmium, lead, mercury, and some of these others. And so they really can cause issues. They can lead to birth defects. And so for women who are pregnant and people who are planning to get pregnant, probably a really important time to really think about eating as clean as possible from a food and from a dietary standpoint, so you just don't create any more risk than is necessary. In addition, they can be disruptive to hormones. And so, of course, we know hormonal issues are greatly affected by radiation, other chemicals in the environment, and could just wreak havoc on your system, making you more susceptible to degenerative diseases because the body's not functioning properly. Of course, hormone issues generally can lead to trouble with obesity. We now know in the U.S., and this is just, I wasn't excited to see this, all the dialogue and discussion. I think most people are sort of aware of issues with food and diet and exercise, and yet in the U.S., we are the heaviest we've ever been as a society, even though there's a lot of health messages out there. And some of it isn't because people don't know what to do or aren't making a strong effort. It's because they've got these chemicals in their body that just make it more and more difficult, almost on an annual basis, right, with additional chemicals and radiations and other things to keep control of their weight. And then one final thing is that it can make you a higher risk for Lyme's disease. You know, not everybody that's exposed to the Lyme's virus gets Lyme's disease. I mean, it's kind of one thing to remember. You can have an immune system, just like cancer cells can appear in everyone's systems, but your immune system, your NK cells, can kill off the cancer. Of course, it doesn't happen for everybody. And so anytime you've got chemical disruptions in your system, your vulnerability to developing things like Lyme's disease or cancer or others are just far greater. And so that's why our message, I think, is so important to keep a focus on and keep track of, because this is all about positioning yourself for the very best chance possible to fight these degenerative diseases and things that we know are crippling or certainly can lead to death. And so, you know, when I think about this, the one thing I constantly go back to is try to think of your water supply and having as clean access to water as you can. And so there are some good whole house filter systems out there. You'll need to do a little research on what's available in your area, but you want to do some research to just make sure that the water you and your family are consuming and bathing in, as well as cooking with, is as clean a water supply as possible. The food supply, particularly the fruits and vegetables, you know, if you can know where they're coming from as much as possible. If they're organic, at least you've got a little bit of help right there. At least there should be some control. Not all organic is perfect by any means, but the proper cleaning and soaking is important to do. And then making sure, if you want to help that body, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, with detox, deep green leafy vegetables. Man, as much green, deep leafy vegetables as you possibly can consume. If you can't get them on a daily basis, look for an organic product like our Super Green Juice, which can give you a supply. It should not replace your diet, but it can be a great way to add to your diet. And then finally, one of the last pieces of the puzzle here is to detox with a good zeolite product. We of course believe it's important to know the zeolite because they can pick up in their natural state things that are dirty and you don't want to put in your body, and frankly they prevent it from working effectively. So you want to find something that's been cleaned properly and sized properly. I think that's one of the reasons why ours is so popular. But all of these things support and aid your body's natural systems and should give you an improvement from a day-to-day standpoint with energy and sleep, but also position you to have a more healthy immune system so you're better able to manage and deal with disease. So that's what I want to talk about. I was trying to find a sort of a positive to put on this, but the truth is this is heavy material. You know, you're dealing with some challenging issues, and if you've got Teflon in your home, at least do what you can to not burn the food in the Teflon. That makes it worse. And if your Teflon has been scraped up, you want to get rid of it and make sure you never use metal implements or tools or forks and things like that. Use wood, use bamboo, use something like that so you don't scrape the pan up to make the situation worse. And, hopefully you'll be able to improve your exposure and your family's exposure. And just remember, if you do want to use the zeolite, the special starts after the show. And so a chance to get a free product. So that's what I came to share, Perry. I don't know if you've got any follow-up to that or any additional comments.
Eddie, here in Thailand, many people, and I would say almost every house, we use Teflon because the way they advertise on TV or on everywhere, So thank you very much for sharing this information, So
Sure. No question, it's convenient, but boy, convenient at a price.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I don't think so.
Eddie, you have so much knowledge about health, which I appreciate. I can't wait to discuss with you again next week. Very, very interesting.
Yep. Well, thank you very much. I enjoy having a chance to speak to people. This is one of my funner activities during the week to be able to talk about these things. So I do have passion for it because I think knowledge is power, right? And the more knowledge we can give people, the greater their success because they're free to make their choices, right, with information. Okay. And that's a good thing. So
from today until Sunday the 6th, right, the promotion, should not miss it, no?
That's right. And just I'm sure you'll post the link, but just
yes.
Free Pure Body at the end of the URL is how people will get to the sale.
Okay, Eddie, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Perry. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.